Hello everybody, and welcome to my video about my personal top gaming experiences in 2020. When I sat down to think about this video, I realized that I hated the thought of having to rate one experience above the other. Basically, I don't like top 10 videos or top 5 videos, and I hate putting one game above the other because most of the games in this list affected me because of different reasons. So I feel like weighing those experiences against each other would not be fair. So instead of doing that, instead of doing a top 10 video, I'm just going to share my favorite gaming experiences instead. All games covered in this video have left a lasting experience on me one way or another. And just a short disclaimer, most of the games are indie games, since I realized since going variety streaming, I don't actually play that many AAA games. So yeah, indie games galore coming right up. If you'd like to purchase any of these games, I have included purchase links in the description below. Using the links supports me and the channel, so hashtag ad. But enough faffing around. Let's get right to it. For me and other RimWorld fans, the gaming year kind of started off with a bang. In February, we were suddenly confronted with a massive content update in the form of RimWorld 1.1 coming out, and then shortly after, the first of hopefully many DLCs for the game dropped. Both 1.1 and RimWorld Royalty massively changed the game and brought thousands of players back to the game, also viewers to YouTube and Twitch. For me personally, it renewed the love for the game and brought me personally so much joy, especially during the first few months of the lockdown that we went through here in the UK earlier in 2020. And not to forget, during RimWorld is a game that I've already sunk in many thousands of hours over the years, ever since I got my hands first on it back in 2014. And Royalty managed to shake up the vanilla RimWorld experience because yes, it added the DLC, but with 1.1, that was the precursor to the DLC, many changes in vanilla also happened, which helped really to keep the game fresh and caused me and many other players having to rethink and relearn our kind of favorite game. At least like gameplay hours wise, it is definitely my favorite game because I've got like 5,000 hours in the game. And just getting to spend more time with that game that you love so much and discovering new things about it is just amazing. We did several playthroughs of RimWorld earlier in 2020. We did a run in 1.1, then we did a full run in a RimWorld Royalty where we went all the way from crash landing to the Emperor ending. We had many fails and laughter and shenanigans on the way because the DLC did release sort of, not really in early access, but kind of. Many changes happened throughout the first like 6 to 8 weeks of the DLC coming out. I just remember the mech drops, the mech cluster drops that would never ever end, and you just kept getting more and more, and ultimately we had to abandon a tile because it was taken over by about 100 mechanoids and 12 mech clusters and mech mortars that would never stop and all sorts of stuff that is luckily was changed later on. And now you can actually have a chance against mech clusters and they don't destroy your walls anymore and land in the middle of your colony and that sort of stuff. So we had lots and lots of fun with that. And we did a long awaited and long dreaded, I guess is the good way. We did a dreaded 100 Thrombo challenge, which was born out of another streamer's 100 then 300 cat challenge. And more jokingly than anything else, I said, hey, one should do a 100 Thrombo challenge, and then we did that. It was a nail biter right up to the end, but ultimately we actually collected 100 tame Thrombos. And in true RimWorld fashion, RimWorld gave me kind of the finger at the end by sending another 6 wild Thrombos onto the map just when we got number 100. It was an amazing experience. We kind of blew up a little bit on Twitch, I guess, with it as well. Because it was like literally in March during the first lockdown, and it was incredible. The joy of getting new content in a game I love so much and sharing it with so many people definitely made this my favorite game, well, one of my favorite gaming experiences this year, which is why it's in this list. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about it, right? The next game on the list is Death Stranding. I know technically Death Stranding is not really a 2020 release. And at first, I was thinking, am I really gonna only talk about games that released in 2020? And then I realized I played a lot of older games in 2020, and some of those definitely made this list. So I thought, you know what? No, screw it. Doesn't matter, because it's not a top 10 video about games in 2020. It's what I had the most fun with in 2020, and it doesn't matter if that is a new game or an old game. So I chucked Death Stranding on this list, especially because theoretically it came out in 2020, because that's when the PC version dropped, and that is the version that I played because I don't actually have a PlayStation 4, so I could not play it on consoles when it came out on consoles. So Death Stranding is on this list because it touched me in many ways. Essentially, in my opinion, Death Stranding is a delivery simulator. And we all know I love simulators. And like, literally a game where I just walk about taking things from one end of a map to the other is definitely something that I play. AKA, you know, Snow Runner says hello and Mud Runner says hello and all those games. Euro Truck Simulator, American Truck Simulator, you know, I play that. So Death Stranding, just like that basic gameplay loop, definitely appealed to me. But it is so much more than just that, because the cinematics and the cinematography, I'm not even talking about the cutscenes necessarily, but the cinematography in Death Stranding is amazing. The story is a very Kojima, but it is Kojima on a level that I really enjoyed, even if sometimes it's a little bit like, what? I did still really enjoy it. During my time with Death Stranding, there were many times where I actually had to just shut up and enjoy the game, especially during the cinematic gameplay sequences where the camera kind of just zooms out when you're like walking through this desolate, barren area for the very first time. And then one of those super DMCA-able song plays that would probably get you in trouble nowadays. But it's just such a cathartic feeling almost when that happens, because that usually happens. For the first time it actually happens after you get through this, and this is a spoiler warning if you haven't played the game. It happens when you get through your very first super BT infested area, and you feel like the sense of relief of having to finally made it, because you probably died a couple of times during that, or like there were at least a couple of hairy situations that you got into when you went through that area. And then you have this wide expanse of land. You can see the next Knot Point, because it's not actually Knot City. It's when you get to Port Knot City, actually, for the first time. You see the city in the distance, like down on the lake shore. You're up on the mountain. You just kind of walk down that way, and like the camera zooms out, and the song plays. It's no other game has ever made me feel that way while playing it, and that's why I enjoyed Death Stranding so much. Plus all the, you know, the gameplay loop that was totally up my alley, and at the same time, and this is kind of a personal reason, but hey, this is a very personalized video anyway, so I might as well shove that out there. Death Stranding is actually kind of the game that showed me that in 2020 I quit my Twitch channel in the direction of variety content. If you don't know my channel, you just clicked on this video. I used to focus a lot on RimWorld. Like a lot. I always did a little bit of variety sprinkled in, but RimWorld was like probably around 70% of the content, and Death Stranding was like the first like really major game that showed me that we could kind of just do something completely different and it would still work. And for those of you who are not on the streaming side on Twitch, switching a Twitch channel from focusing on one main game to truly random variety content is pretty hard. Because a lot of people, like, it takes a while to accumulate enough people that watch you because they like you and the community rather than the game that you're playing, and that's really hard to establish with variety content. But Death Stranding showed me that I actually should probably try it because we met so many lovely new people and it was just a fantastic experience. And I think I'm allowed to say this now, about, I don't know, 7 months, 8 months later, we have actually switched to mega variety content, playing loads of different types of games, and it worked out. So I'm incredibly grateful, and I will always look fondly upon Death Stranding, and I'm definitely gonna 100% the achievements on this game one day when like days have 48 hours and I have lots of time to play games offline as well. So yeah, Death Stranding is awesome. Play it. The next game on our list, which is not a list because there's no ranking, it's just a random assortment of games. So the next game on our not list is Graveyard Keeper. We jumped into Graveyard Keeper in late summer for the first time ever. I had actually bought the game when it was still in early access, but even when it came out in 1.0 release, I only ever played about 40 minutes of it and then kind of put it on the shelf and never really picked it back up. So it was sort of a logical choice in late summer to jump into it because, as I said earlier, I had made the decision to truly switch to variety content, and it seemed like a good idea at the same time to try and clear a little bit of my Steam backlog, because I have a lot of games in my Steam library, and I think we all kind of do, that I've never played, or I've not played enough, or never finished. And Graveyard Keeper, as I said earlier, playing about, I don't know, a few minutes of it, less than an hour, it was very much part of that backlog. So I made the decision to try it out and give it a shot for a stream or two to see how people would like it, how I would like it. And it turned out that I actually really liked it, and so did my audience. The mixture of management and story content worked incredibly well for me. I really enjoyed the freedom that you get where you can just do your management the way you want it to. Like, you can choose the layout, you can choose what to focus on to make money, and then with the DLCs, of course, they give you many more options, and you do the zombie stuff and you do the graveyard stuff, and there was a lot of like just content there that you kind of have the power over. But at the same time, it's not as freeform as, say, for example, Stardew Valley or Harvest Moon or Rune Factory in that regard, because the quests that you get will string you along and make you eventually conclude the story. And I really liked about Graveyard Keeper the fact that, yes, there is sort of a relationship system, but it is not like Stardew Valley's where you just constantly have to talk to them and give them all the presents all the time, or like in Harvest Moon or Rune Factory where you have to do that too. So I really, really enjoyed it. So I played actually through the entire game, including the Stranger Things DLC on stream. And then later on in the year, around Halloween, we actually went like right back into Graveyard Keeper because the Game of Thrones DLC dropped sort of kind of a little bit out of nowhere. Yes, they announced it before, like 2 weeks before, 3 weeks before, maybe. And then it was like, cool, we get to play more Graveyard Keeper, which was really, really awesome. And the Game of Thrones DLC is really fun. It adds a refugee camp that you have to manage at the same time. That gives you more options. That gives you lots of quality of life updates. Bags. I mean, oh my god, right? Because you never have enough inventory space in Graveyard Keeper, and there was never really an option to make your inventory bigger. But hey, no, the graveyard, the refugee tent, the refugee camp quests give you bags and other things. Ideally, I would recommend, if you want to play the DLC, because it doesn't really stand alone that well, play it as a whole new save file, so you do it all at the same time, like the main content. Because the problem is with the refugee camp DLC, there is not really it doesn't really have an ending in and of itself. It has it kind of fell flat a little bit at the end. I really enjoyed the content of it, but the story aspect, playing it as a standalone after you finish the main game, was a little bit of a letdown. I still really enjoyed it and I highly recommend it, but I would recommend starting a brand new save file and then playing with all of the DLC at the same time, because that way it integrates a lot better into the general flow of the game and you're not really let down by the DLC ending, because you have the main game ending and the Stranger Things DLC ending to focus on. But ultimately speaking, I still had a wonderful time with Graveyard Keeper, and I would highly, 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 highly recommend it to anybody who is looking for a chill management game, because the game does not give you really any time constraints. Like, you don't have to finish within a certain time. The only thing is, if you miss a person on their specific day, you have to wait a week, but you'll have plenty of things to do in Graveyard Keeper during that week, so you'll probably accidentally miss the day the next week again, and then you'll try it like the week after that, because there's lots of things to do. And I've actually by now finished the game, 100%ed it on Steam. I finished the story on stream, but I actually 100%ed it because the only thing that I had left was getting the fishing quests done. Yeah, I don't enjoy Stardew Valley type fishing, and Graveyard Keeper has that too. But that is a topic for next year's video, because, spoiler, we went back to Stardew Valley too. But that's for the 2021 video. The next game that I'd like to talk about in this video is Spiritfarer. Now, Spiritfarer was an emotional roller coaster, and that is precisely the reason why the game is amazing. It also has other redeeming qualities, but playing through the game without trying to spoil too much of the story was incredibly cathartic, because Spiritfarer is a management game wrapped up in a story dealing with loss, death, and having to say goodbye. And on the one hand, in the game, you have those day-to-day menial tasks of, oh, I have to provide food for people, I have to fish, and I have these quests that I need to do, and I need to get sheep, and I need to shear the sheep, and I need to water my plants, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, which, you know, it takes a lot of, like, the gameplay elements that I enjoy, but at the same time, on the journey through the world of Spiritfarer, you meet a lot of characters and they will, unlike in most of other games of this type, where you meet somebody and they'll just move into your town and live there forever, in Spiritfarer on your boat, you will build them a home and they will come and live with you for a while, and you'll experience stories, and you get, you know, you will have conversations with them, and they will tell you about their lives and their memories, and you help them resolve conflicts and all that sort of stuff. But eventually the people will leave. The characters will leave. You'll meet loads of different characters. Some of them you'll feel really close to, some you'll feel somewhat indifferent to, some you'll kind of dislike, but they will all leave. And I'm getting even like kind of teared up just thinking about the game again, because some of the characters, like, they just touch you, and you journey with them, and then the big reveal sort of at the end as well, which I won't spoil, but it's just, it was so emotionally good to play that game. It's really hard to put it in words for me, but I highly recommend it. It will, though, cause you to have a lot of emotions. I never cried so much playing a video game, but I felt good about it, because it was good crying. Like, it was bad good crying. It doesn't really make sense what I'm trying to say here, but like, yes, it made you sad, yes, it made you think about things that happened in your own life, and you had to cry about it, but because you did and you opened up yourself to those emotions, you felt better afterwards, if that makes sense. And I've never experienced a video game that could tap into that well and that much, and just keep you going and making you feel better at the end. There are other games where that briefly happens, like Ori and the Blind Forest at the start. I know a lot of people who, when the intro sequence happens, get very, you know, sad, and they cry, or the intro sequence of the movie Up. But it's not like the entire, like, it doesn't like come up again and again and again, and you just kind of, you know, have to deal with it over and over and over again, which makes it easier to talk about in the end, which is great. Like, we had a lot of great conversations about this sort of stuff, and I think a lot of people like enjoyed the experience for that particular reason as well. On the on the plus side, really, the game also has a fantastic art style. Like, big ups to the art department. Like, the game is, it's almost like being in a movie almost. Like, the quality of the animations and the art was just so on point and amazing. So good. And same goes to the music department. Like, the Spiritfarer soundtrack is fantastic. Like, I go back and listen to certain songs from the soundtrack even now, like months later, because the soundtrack is just so fantastic. Some of the gameplay elements were a little bit tedious, so like I'd have to dock a little bit. Like, Spiritfarer as a game, in terms of gameplay experience, it's not a 10 out of 10, but is a 10 out of 10 for the emotional value you get out of the game. So I'm really sad that a lot of people kind of didn't get to experience the game, because like, I played it on release on Twitch, and the game came out of nowhere, really. Nobody was really told when the release date was. There was, like, you know, a reveal trailer and whatnot early on. I feel like it was earlier in the year, but they never said like when it was going to come out. And then on Twitch, it kind of got drowned out because they paid a few people to play it, but they weren't allowed to talk about it beforehand, so there was not really much hype generated. And then a lot of the bigger streamers didn't have time for it in their schedule because they already had so many other things scheduled. So I feel like as a streamer who played this game on release, they could have done a lot more to make it like have a bigger impact on people and to get more people to play it back, like, and watch it on Twitch, because it was kind of, yeah, it kind of fizzled out after a couple of the big streamers like played it once or maybe twice for the sponsored segments, and then they just vanished. So the directory was unfortunately relatively dead relatively fast, and that's the sad thing because the game has a lot of value, a lot of emotional, and like it puts it just gives you that feeling of feeling like not relieved, but like you feel sort of more content after it. That's what I had. Like it helped me like process some things that I'd not really thought about, and it helped us as a community share those things with each other, and I think we all felt better for it in the end. And it was really the first game that ever did that, which makes it very, very special, and that's why it's on this list. The next game that I'd like to talk about is on this list for a whole different reason. The game I'm talking about is called Bugsnax. Bugsnax was a trip and a half wrapped up in a video game, but it was awesome. That's all I can say, really. Like, Bugsnax is this weird game kind of stuck between adorably cute bugs that look like snacks and make the cutest of noises ever, and sort of a body horror story where people lose sense of themselves and they get taken over by those cute, not actually cute, but actually parasitic snacks, and it devolves into something completely different. Trying not to spoil here again, but somehow it worked for Bugsnax. I mean, I guess in the end you shouldn't be surprised because this is done by the same studio who made Octodad, so it works. But it's a hard game to kind of sell to people if they weren't there to experience it with you. But I had an amazing time playing the game, looking at all the different Bugsnax, and gotta collect them all. Of course we did that. I actually ended up 100%ing the achievements over on EGS, because it's for now an EGS exclusive. But it's one of those games over there that has achievements, so we did that, and we played through it. It's not like the longest game ever. I think it took us 4 streams to play through it, I want to say. That seems about right. But it was just a lot of fun. I don't think I've ever played a game quite like it, and at the same time I have never had a hard time to as hard a time as I have now to tell you why I enjoyed it so much, because it's just so different. But honestly, I feel very much that I need to recommend to play the game because it's just so trippy. Like, That's just really it. It's just a trip and a half in a video game format with really cute Bugsnax that make really cute sounds. And it's been months since we played it, but yet me and my community still quote some of the Bugsnax sounds because Mega Marky is just amazing. It was just this really fun thing, and I think I liked it so much because it made us laugh a lot. It just gave us all a lot of joy. And if it's one thing that we needed in 2020, it was joy. And that's definitely something you'll get from this game. Which is why it's on, which is why I have to mention it in this video. And then, last but definitely not least, because, once again, this is not a list. This is just games that I really enjoyed playing in 2020. I feel compelled to give an honorable mention to a game that is over 3 years old, but I did not get into really all that much until 2020. Though it also had DLC release in 2020, so I guess that theoretically counts. This game, by the way, is theHunter Call of the Wild. So something kind of completely different from all of the other games mentioned in this video. I played this game before 2020, but I kind of got dragged back into it because of another streamer friend, like back in November. And somehow I just couldn't stop playing it on stream and off stream and just hanging out and having fun with people. I dumped around 80 hours or so during the Christmas New Year's period alone, and ultimately chat kind of forced my hand as well and avoided to actually make me stream the game, which actually turned out to be an amazing fit for our community, with many people discovering the game for themselves for the first time ever and enjoying it a lot. I have zero interest in hunting IRL, and I generally also do not enjoy hunting games, but, and this is somewhat a quote, but Hunter is first and foremost kind of just an enjoyable bimble out in nature. Like, you just walk around, look at the gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous maps that the developers have created, and then maybe later on you'll do some hunting. 2020 was a year where a lot of us were kind of stuck inside a lot, and we didn't really want to go out or couldn't go out, and Hunter kind of helped a little bit with that, I think, because it has gorgeous environments that look ridiculously pretty, and it's just fun to just walk through them and just look around. You don't even have to hunt. You can just walk around, take pictures of animals and scenery and whatnot, because the game has a built-in photo mode. And there's something, and this sounds weird because it's a hunting game, but it was so weirdly wholesome to just walk through there, chat with friends while walking about for sometimes literal hours without doing any hunting, because we were doing a lot of the map unlocks, because the game comes with 2 maps, but then you can buy more maps as DLCs, and they were like really cheap on sale during the winter sale, so a lot of us bought them then, and we just kind of had loads of fun walking around, looking at things, unlocking stuff. And it's a great single player game as well. It's really chill and relaxing, and then it's also really fun in multiplayer games because you can kind of do your own thing, but you're all on this map together, and you can be like, oh my god, this is really pretty, or look at this, or like, I've spotted this animal, do you want to like hunt it or whatever. It was just a really enjoyable time that I've had with this game, and I still really enjoy playing it right now, and I'm enjoying streaming it as well. We play it every once in a while with members of the community, and it's just fun. And that's why this game is on this list, because I just really enjoy it and it's fun. So give it a try if you haven't yet. And that actually concludes my list of my not list. And that was my not list of my favorite gaming experiences in 2020. We played a lot of games. I haven't kept track of how many games we streamed on the channel, but these are the ones that I still kind of think about, the ones that, you know, stick in my memory for one reason or another. And this video turned out much longer than I thought it was going to be, so let me just say thank you so much for spending some of your time with me, whether it be here on YouTube or over on the Twitch channel. And I hope our collective 2021 will be so much better than 2020. Happy New Year. You are all amazing. And thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe if you haven't yet. And I will see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.